Hey everybody, and welcome to Q&A Wednesday, where I answer the questions that my clients or you have asked me pertinent to the fitness world. And tonight we're going to talk about when is it appropriate to hire a health coach. Now that could actually extend into multiple different directions, but what I'm kind of thinking is more of an overall, somebody to kind of guide you in the right direction towards your goals. Your coach might also be, like me, a personal trainer. There could be some different aspects to it, but somebody who can guide you at least the right directions to make some wise health choices and change some habits that you might have. So my first thought of this honestly came down to the fact that, they really in school, I don't know, I'm a little bit older, but even when I was in school, I think we had like one semester of health nutrition. And what I remember about it is not learning a whole heck of a lot. I think we come out into the world with all of these knowledgeable things like math and sciences, but nobody knows how to feed themselves. So unless you have parents that really knew about nutrition and were really great at making healthy, clean, whole food meals, you might not know what to do. So I find it fascinating that in this day and age that so many people are actually malnourished because we just eat so much food that has little to no nutrients. We call them empty calories, and that is kind of a big deal. So it depends a little bit on what you're looking for when it comes to coaching. Most people just like to have a plan, or we're going to talk about why and when you should have a health coach. But I find that a lot of people just don't know enough about health, nutrition, and exercise in order to make some of those choices for them. Or they've been working for a really long time and they really aren't seeing the results that they want. So let's talk about when it might be appropriate to invest or hire a health coach. I call it a health coach, a wellness coach. It can be multiple things. And I'll tell you how to kind of find and pick one as well as we get done with it. But number one of the main reasons that you might want to hire a health coach is when you really find that you need some accountability. Now that's still a big one for me. I find that, I know all the things to do, but it's really easy when it's just me to justify things and, I don't just need 1 tablespoon of almond butter. I need like 3. So sometimes you just, especially if you really struggle to be motivated. Now, let me take a step back and say you're not always going to be motivated. Part of the process is figuring out how to keep yourself disciplined, right? And discipline means that you keep going long after that excitement has left you. You might be super excited when you set the goal because, man, this time around, I'm gonna get there, I'm gonna lose 20 pounds, I'm gonna get to the gym every day, whatever it is, and then really quickly you realize, that's not all that it's cracked up to be. So sometimes having that accountability, the ability to check in, makes a big difference. I find that if I have invested in myself and I have paid a coach, and like I said, I'm a coach, but the coach needs a coach. For me, again, it's mostly about accountability because it's really easy to get off track. Even with healthy foods, I tend to get a little over happy with rice cakes. So sometimes it's nice to have, you just know that you have to check in with someone at the end of the week or once here and there, whatever your agreement is, that you're gonna have to fess up. I can always tell when my clients are not necessarily doing what they're supposed to do. Now, I don't ever get them in trouble. I'm not their babysitter. I'm not their mother. But, they do need to be accountable. If they, did really great during the week and then ate pizza and drank beer all weekend, I'm probably going to know about it because their body's going to tell me you did. So sometimes having that ability to check in is worth it. And that way too, sometimes you need that coach that knows that it's not necessarily about the results, it's about the efforts. You need to focus on making better habits. We all jump in and we want to be shredded by next week, but yet we're struggling just to get to the gym on a daily basis. So we have to change some of those habits that we have, reintroduce some better habits, learn what our triggers are, those kind of things. And somebody that can help you do that without being too close to you. My husband and I don't coach each other because it just doesn't work. If you have a friend or a family member that's a personal trainer or a coach, you may not want to go to them because they know you a little too well. And for some odd reason, if I pay somebody that I respect and I don't know very well, but I know their work, let me tell you, I'm like dead on. It makes a big difference. That's an investment that I've made in myself. My coach costs 3 times usually what I charge. So again, you get what you pay for, but it's worth it. It's worth it to have that. And the other thing about reaching your goals and having that accountability is that because it is more about the efforts, it's more about consistency. We all think, okay, I ate so good today and I ate so great yesterday, but then you mess up today and then you let that send you off on a spiral for 3 weeks. Having that person that can keep you in check really can make a difference and help you stay on track. Number two, when you aren't seeing your progress is a great time to possibly hire a health and wellness coach, because sometimes what our realistic expectations aren't really realistic, right? I find that most people underestimate how much work and effort is going to have to go into it to get where they think they want to go. And then they... sorry, my brain is just in two different places here. So you want to make sure that you know what you're doing. Part of it too is just being educated on what you're trying to accomplish. One of the first things, the benefit for me as a coach is that I have a teaching background. So I like to teach them why, because I figure that they'll be more compliant, they'll stick with it if they know the reasons why they're doing certain things. So, if you don't really know what each of the macros do, if you've always done a 1,200 calorie diet because that's what you hear, it doesn't work, guys. But sometimes you need that guidance to work a way that works for you and for what your body does. And having somebody there that can give you that reality check of, no, I'm sorry, it's protein ice cream, but if you eat a quart of it every day, you're just not going to get to your goals. Having that feedback is really important. And sometimes there's invisible variables. Usually we start with some basic algorithms or some basic formulas, and if their body's not responding, then I know that there's some other variables that we haven't tackled. And it can be anything from hormones, it could be stress, it could be not enough sleep. Those things do play a huge role. And honestly, hate to tell you people, the older you are, the more of a difference that makes, because now we've got compounded all the things that have happened to us for years and years and years are now taking a toll on our bodies. And so that plays a huge role in that as well. You also have to base everything off real science and not just bro science. I mean, anecdotal information is great, but it can only get you so far. I mean, look where low-fat, high-carb diets got us that, supposedly were the best for us. There wasn't even real research behind that. Now we're finding out that information isn't even correct. You have to base this all on real science and how your body is a complex organism. There's so much more to it. And like I said, the older you get, the more those variables creep in and can really make a big difference. For instance, when I get somebody that comes in 3 weeks, they're like, I'm just not seeing it. They may have even dropped 10 pounds and they're not seeing it. I'm like, honey, you can't undo 3 decades worth of eating processed garbage in 3 weeks. It takes time for your body to respond to that. So having somebody that can kind of guide you through that and keep you motivated with that by telling you you're normal, stop comparing yourself to the garbage on Instagram because they all use filters and they're all using their best angle. It's about consistency, and you will see it. That is a big part of it. You just have to remember that progress is not linear, right? You're not going to lose 2 pounds a week till you reach your goal weight. It doesn't work like that. There's other factors in play, and the scale might not even move at all, but you might drop 5 dress sizes. Then you kind of reached your goal, right? Because weight has nothing to do with anything. Weight only tells you what you weigh. The problem is that muscle and fat weight are totally different. Muscle is so much more dense. It just takes less space. So again, it's important to know the right metrics that you should be measuring by, and that's really hard for the average person to do because we're so fixated on the scale. That's really kind of difficult. So number 3, a good time to hire a health coach is when you aren't sure what your expectations should be, or if you aren't sure that your plan is right for you. Hi, Lori. My frustration is that people will pull, plans off the internet that have nothing to do. They didn't ask any questions about themselves. Maybe because Jamie Easton is beautiful. She is so beautiful. But we're totally different body types. I am not going to do the Jamie Easton plan because my body would not respond the same as hers. It has to be very individual to you. It depends on your goal. It depends on your body type. It does depend on your genes. Hi, Olivia. So there's a lot that comes into play there. So taking some, cookie cutter diet and then doing some cookie cutter workout plan. Now, something's better than nothing, but you really have to tailor it to you and your goals and your age and all the variables that you do have. You have to make sure that it is right for your goal. So like I said, most people overestimate the results that they're going to have, and they underestimate the amount of work that's going to go into it. And so, different goals do require different plans. So even if I'm in a situation, so right now I'm leaning out a little bit, but if I go back into grow mode, my plan completely changes. And I'm talking everything: how many days a week I work out, how heavy I lift, what I'm eating, the different amount of the macro formula changes around a little bit. I still eat really clean, but it just changes depending on what I'm trying to accomplish with that. So having somebody that knows more about that is really important. to help guide you through that. And I'm a firm believer of taking 2 steps back when things aren't working and going, okay, what are we missing? What needs to change? Maybe this is not the right track for you. Let's try a different option. Or a lot of times I ask more questions. When's the last time you had blood work done? What did your doctor say about it? There's a lot of things that you have to think about that can contribute to whether or not you're reaching your goals. Number 4, it's a great idea to have some emotional support. You might find that not everybody around you is super supportive of your goals. That happens a lot. And so it's really nice to have somebody that can back you up. My favorite time of the year is Christmas time. I get clients texting me going, oh my gosh, they have cinnamon rolls in the break room, or they'll take pictures and show me what's in their break room. I'm like, just run away. Sometimes you have to decide, which do you want more, that cinnamon roll, or do you want to feel good? So it's nice to have somebody that can back you up, help give you some guidance and some tips on how to avoid those kind of situations. I'm really good about taking somebody who's going on vacation and helping them set up a plan so that they don't completely derail everything that they've done before. It's about learning how to live the lifestyle versus, I'm just going to do this for 3 months. So having that, also somebody who can help teach you balance. I think that's a really difficult one. Different stages in our lives, we're going to have different things going on, and we're going to have to react differently with what our goals are. So I might always have the same goal of maybe being relatively lean, eating really clean and healthy, but it was a lot different when my kids were young versus now I got adult children, which is creepy, by the way. It's a totally different ball game. So things change over time. Even things in your life, you might start a new job. You might have a parent move in with you. There's so many factors there. You got to be able to transition, and having somebody to help you do that and do it effectively and do it quickly so that you don't take too much downtime or go too off track can really help you to stay with your goal and make it where you want to go. It's also a lot about the psychology. I call it the psychology of losing weight, although I'm not a fan of that term. I don't believe you should lose weight. I think you should lose fat. And there is a difference, right? There is a whole psychology to it. Most of us who have even tried a diet once in our lifetimes know that the physical part is actually the easy part. It's the mental and emotional part that's difficult. It's the peer pressure from our friends and family that just want us to have one beer with them, or the horrible things that we say to ourselves when we fall off the wagon and eat our feelings. There is a lot there, and it's nice to have your coach should be supportive. If you don't have a supportive coach, you need to have a new coach. I really believe there's a whole emotional part to it. I know I'm a therapist. I'm not a licensed therapist, but just like a bartender and a hairdresser, we hear a lot of information. It does help me as a trainer, as a coach, to know how to proceed with them or what to do with them. Okay, my connection's being weird, so had to pause there for a moment. I love being able to keep them going just by progress is progress, guys. If you are ahead of where you were before, you're progressing, and that's amazing, right? So it's kind of nice to have. Sorry, it's still doing this low connection thing. I don't know what's going on there, but it is nice to have somebody that can help you get through those struggles. Having been a bigger girl before, I understand a lot of the obstacles that come through there. So sometimes I can give some tips or maybe some direction to try and overcome that. And I want to communicate. I want my clients to communicate regularly with me so that I can give them that support and maybe help them avoid some pitfalls. Now, I know sometimes we all have to hit that bottom in order to bounce back up and know what to do. But if you can get that learning curve a little faster, that's my job, and I'm pretty excited about that. And number 5, help. I like to help my clients, give them a direction especially when things might be going a little bit not in the right direction. I believe that everybody should build a really good health support team, right? And it might be some people you don't think about. I believe every person to be healthy needs to have a great doctor who really understands and is willing to communicate. On my personal health team, I have a massage therapist. I have hair and makeup people. I have a therapist. I have all of those things so that when I need them, I know who to go to. And there's a lot involved there because you have to be the right personality match, and there's some different things there. So if your trainer or your coach can help you go those directions and pick up those things, you might be in a much, much better place. More than once, I've recommended a woman go get her hormones tested. I've sent people to go get their blood work done because, something's not quite right. I have an integrative specialist whose her expertise is the microbiome, gut health, which so much is involved with, your immune system, how you respond to food. There's so much that's required to have a healthy gut biome, a microbiome there. So I'll send people different places to make sure that they built that team, that support network that they really need in order to be at their very, very best. And it could be, I mean, if you're struggling to sleep, there's just a big gamut. There's a lot involved in your health. I think so many times we focus just on the physical when so much more of it is emotional and psychological, and we got to make sure we hit all those barriers. All the time, I know I say this a lot, you got to fix your head to fix your body. Whatever got you to the position that you're at, if you're unhappy with how your health is and how you look and feel, you have to fix whatever's going on up here, or you will keep going back to that situation. And you know, that's just how it's going to be. You're using food for something. You know, for me, it was coping. It was stress release, a little bit of boredom. You know, so if you have an unhealthy relationship with food, there's some things you're going to have to accomplish first in order to hit your goals. So really, my couple of tips really quick are going to be, you know, if you need a coach, you might do some asking around. I think it's really important to find the right match for you. And you know, if you're a guy and you want a guy, that's fine with me. But you really need to do some due diligence, make sure that your personalities match, make sure that that person actually has an education. Unfortunately, in the state of Washington, I find it just kind of frustrating that a lot of personal trainers don't even have training certificates. It's not required by law, it's just required by gym, which makes no sense to me because I'm telling people what to do with their bodies physically, and I don't know, I just don't get it. So make sure that they have some experience, that they know what they're talking about, just like I personally would never pick a bodybuilding coach that has never put somebody on stage. It happens. Make sure that you know that this is going to be a good fit for you. Ask around, ask for some, I can't even think of the word, some referrals, people I've worked with before. You know, you might even check their expertise. Every health coach kind of has a different philosophy and a different background. So you want to make sure that it's going to work for you. If you're 55 and a woman and you've hit menopause, maybe a 20-year-old male coach is not your best choice unless they have some extreme background experience, maybe their mother or grandmother, I don't know, but that's a really hard one for me to think about that would be a good match, just because they're really not going to understand. No guy is ever going to understand our hormones. Sorry, guys. It's just one of those things, right? So make sure that it's a good match for you, and make sure that don't go for cheap, because that's not always going to get you what you're looking for. And free usually means that you're a guinea pig, right? So, and if you're okay with that, I guess roll with it. But you know, you need the best that you can possibly be. So my goal is always to make sure that my clients are at least getting the direction that they're supposed to go. They know that I care. Like, that is why I do what I do. I want people to be healthy. I've already been at the other end of the spectrum. I read so much. And for those of you that know me, I'm going back to college. So just thought I'd give you a little thing there. It's gonna take me a little bit, but by the time I'm done, I will have a master's degree and be a registered dietitian. So pretty exciting there. So hopefully that helps give you an idea. I mean, there is a time and a place to hire a coach. And if you're just getting started, that might also be the perfect time, just because if you really don't know about nutrition and about health and fitness, we don't want you to hurt yourself. We don't want you to try some crazy, ridiculous diet that really isn't giving you the nutrients that you need. So you might, in the beginning, you gotta get some education. So whether you go online, be careful with that, because not everything online is true. I don't know why we think that. Again, that might be a great place to start. Hire a wellness coach that can help you with that. So have an incredible night, you guys. This Sunday, there will be Meals with Melissa. So I'm looking forward to it. I've missed it the last couple of weeks. We've had a couple of weeks of shows around the Pacific Northwest. So it is time to go back to that. I'm sure I'll come up with something great. I always do. So have an incredible night, you guys. And until next Wednesday, can't speech. That's Q&A Wednesday, guys. Good night.